my name is Chris Rankin, and this is my 5-question interview. When signing autographs, what quote do fans ask for the most? This is a really interesting one because it actually changes depending on where you are in the world. So in Germany, Percy, in the German language version of Harry Potter, says nicht bummeln. And apparently in Germany that's like become quite a kind of like cult thing to say, like everyone says. It basically means no dawdling, I guess, or something like that, but it's kind of part of like culture. I don't know. Apparently, I never said it, obviously, because I did it in English, but I get nicht bummeln in Germany. And then caput draconis, which is the Gryffindor password, is often a very popular one as well. You know, I'd say that's probably the most popular one. Or, excuse me, I'm head boy. That's the other one as well. You were just 16 when you landed the role of Percy. What stands out most about that audition? Good. Oh, that's a good one. So I'd say what stands out most is that it was alarmingly easy, considering that it ended up being such a big part of my life and such a sort of important film series in the world, I guess. I had 2 auditions for Potter. I had one audition with Janet Hershenson, who was the casting director, that lasted 10 minutes, I guess. I just had to walk up and down this room and do the scene where Percy takes the Gryffindors to the common room for the first time, and it's all the, you know, keep an eye on the staircases and caput draconis and all of that. And that seemed to go well, so she asked me to come back like 3 days later and meet Chris Columbus and David Heyman, and I did the same audition for them, and it was maybe 20 minutes long. I had to do it like 2 more times in that audition, and like the next day they said, you've got the part. And I was like, what? That's like the easiest audition I've ever had for anything. And it was Harry Potter. Like, I've done plays that nobody came to see where I've had longer and harder auditions. It's nuts. But yeah, it was easy. That's what stands out about it most, is how easy it was. Maybe I just was Percy Weasley. Maybe that's typecasting again. What was it like being on set of a Harry Potter film? Well, it was always really cool. Like, we had all these amazing places you can go and see now at the Warner Brothers studio tour. Get the plug right in there. But it was amazing because the amount of detail that goes into each one of those sets was incredible. Like the Weasley's house, the Burrow, when we were filming in there for Chamber of Secrets, like you could open the kitchen drawers and there would be cutlery and knives and forks and spoons and things, and like little pictures that apparently the kids had drawn when they were babies and stuff. And nobody ever sees any of that. Like, nobody opens a drawer in the films, but it's there just in case, and it all adds to it, which I think is, that's kind of what makes it really special. I think that's what I really enjoyed, was all these little hidden, secret bits, and also just hanging out with people, really. I mean, like, in the Great Hall, we spent a lot of time in that Great Hall, but we were all together, so it was awesome, you know, and we're there. If you're filming a feast scene, it would take like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, so it's quite an intense thing, yeah. You shared the screen with some incredible actors we've since lost. Do any particular memories stand out from working with them? I mean, we've lost loads, like Richard Harris, Gambon, Robbie Coltrane, Alan Rickman, Maggie Smith. So many of them have passed on now, which is really sad, but equally, you know, that is the passing of time. But it was all, I mean, I didn't get to work with Alan Rickman particularly, but it was always incredible just being on set and like watching him from a distance, kind of going, "It's Alan Rickman. That's the Sheriff of Nottingham. Oh, that's Hans Gruber." And honestly, I think we were all a little bit scared of Alan, because when he was in that Snape costume, that didn't happen. When he was in that Snape costume, he was kind of slightly terrifying. Maggie Smith had the driest sense of humour I've ever come across, and I was never entirely sure whether she was just being funny or genuinely hated me, but I think she was just being funny. Like, I remember we did a scene that was cut, but it's on the Azkaban DVD, I think, where we're in the Gryffindor common room and we're talking to Sir Cadogan, the portrait of the knight, and there's a bit where it's me and Maggie in a close-up together, and I remember when we were rehearsing it, she was like, "You're standing in my light," and I genuinely thought the world was going to end. But then you could just see that little twinkle in the corner of her eye, and yeah. I worked with her a little bit. I worked on Downton Abbey when I was working in TV production later on, and it was really nice to go back and work again with her. And with her double, her body double, Roz, who was with her on the first Harry Potter film, was still with her, 15, 16 years later. So yeah, that was fun. That was good fun. What do you remember about working with Daniel, Emma and Rupert on the Harry Potter set? When we were younger, so on the first movie, it was funny because Rupert was a constant giggler. Like, that boy would giggle at absolutely anything. So by like the end of the day, when everyone was getting a bit tired and we'd been working for, 5 or 6 hours, and they were young kids, they were 10, 11 years old, and they'd have to do 4 hours of schooling every day and film these huge movies. When you get a bit tired and a bit silly, Rupert was a real giggler. Dan is like the most brainy, knowledgeable person on all the most random stuff ever. And you could have, like, even when he was 11, 12 years old, you could have these really weirdly in-depth conversations about very niche things with him. And then Emma was Hermione Granger. Emma just was Hermione Granger, actually. But me and Emma arrived to the studio for our first day ever together. So the car that picked me up had already picked her up. So we walked into that first ever day, which was the table read for the first movie. We walked in together. So yeah, she was always Hermione. Always was, always will be. Yeah, that was question 5. And then you can find me on, this weekend you can find me in Corpus Christi, because that's where we are, at Corpus Christi Comic Con right now, here till Sunday. And then you can find me on social media. If it says Chris Rankin and it's got a blue tick next to it, it's almost certainly me. It's at CW Rankin on Instagram, facebook.com/Chris Rankin, I think. And then chrisrankin.co.uk for the website. Thanks.